The Utica jury has convicted two longtime Albany brokers of scamming dozens of investors out of millions of dollars. Tonight, Timothy McGinn and David Smith are facing serious time behind bars. Matt Markham was in the U.S. District Courthouse today when that verdict was read. He joins us live now from our Albany Bureau with more on what happened in this really celebrated case, Matt.
Oh, absolutely, Liz. And when you were in the courtroom today, you could feel the tension that each man faced. 29 counts, and each one of them was read very slowly, very deliberately, one by one. Mr. McGinn, during that process, sat rather expressionless. Mr. Smith stared straight at the jury. With each count, a heavy, repeated reminder that this is the end.
They have obligations to the regulators, they have obligations to their investors, and they have obligations in the law, and they have to take those obligations seriously.
A jury decided Timothy McGinn and David Smith chose another path. They walked out of federal court in Utica with nothing to say to reporters. McGinn's attorney did.
I don't think the justice system is capable of dealing with financial crimes of this type.
That type, according to prosecutors, was conspiracy, mail and wire fraud, securities fraud, filing false tax returns, all to swindle $130 million from nearly 800 investors. The jury found McGinn guilty of 27 out of 29 counts, for Smith 15 counts, after 4 days of deliberations. Defense attorneys said there was no fraud, no false tax returns. They blamed a sluggish economy and sloppy bookkeeping for McGinn and Smith's downfall, along with a government investigation which closed the firm 3 years ago. McGinn's lawyer on the verdict?
It was tragically wrong.
Investors came forward to testify, claiming they lost everything they had saved for their golden years to McGinn and Smith. The U.S. Attorney pointed to one instance of fraud in investments McGinn and Smith were collecting on an alarm company. Investors didn't know that alarm company was bankrupt. A receiver has been appointed by the court to pay out as much to those investors as can be found.
A verdict like this, I think, provides some measure of justice to those victims, but it certainly doesn't solve all their problems.
But they will see McGinn and Smith in court again on June 28th for sentencing. Now, under federal guidelines, the pair could spend 15 years in prison, Jerry.